is what it was called when we were growing up. You know, the brickyard or the square. I
Okay.
had my neighbors. My neighbors were another guy named Michael Adams, who eventually played in the NBA, had a long career in the NBA. The kid that lived downstairs from me, Marcus Camby, who played in the NBA, had a long career in the NBA. And we had other, basketball players and athletes, boxers, baseball players, football players that, came from that same community.
Okay, that's pretty cool. And I would even ask, boss, whenever you were younger, growing up, hanging in the projects, did you ever think that you would be, did you ever think that you would have the life that you've actually experienced? Was it something you wanted, or
So
you were just playing basketball with the
I
children?
was I was just playing basketball. My dad was a basketball player, not professionally, not collegiately, but he was always on the playgrounds. And in the projects, we had two basketball courts. One was always, one court was in good condition, so it was always being used. The other court had a bent rim on one end and no rim on the other end. And so as kids, we would play crate ball. We would use milk crates, and we would tie them up to the laundry lines or nail it to a tree. And all of us kids would be out there playing basketball, with the crates, because the,
Awesome.
the grown ups and the older kids, they would be on the main court all day long, and we couldn't get on there until later on that night when they finally got tired of playing. So that's where my love for basketball began. My dad gave me a basketball as a toddler, and I remember my mom put a rim. She had it connected to my door, and I'd always shoot, you know, in my bedroom at that rim that was connected to my door.
That is so
So
cool. I remember buying the
yeah,
boys those.
yeah,
And they would
yeah,
wind up being on the floor in about a week, but I'm glad that you utilized yours. So, were
yeah.
you always tall? Because you're
I was always
7'3", correct?
Yeah, I was always about a head taller than everybody else my age. With the exception of Marcus, he's a year older than me, but he was always taller than me. And I eventually outgrew him. Uh, I was a When I was a junior in high school, he was a senior. We were the same height, 6'11".
Ok oh,
But yeah, I
6'11" in
just kept
high
growing.
school is pretty tall.
Yeah, and I just kept growing. So when I was at the, my dad took me around. My dad, my uncles, my mom's brothers. They took me around the city to different parks. I come from a very athletic family. I have three cousins that were drafted into the NFL. Two had long-term careers. One couldn't get past training camp because what we now know was dealing with CTE issues because of all the
Okay.
concussions that he suffered, in his high school and college career.
Yes,
So
I've
he
heard of
didn't
that.
last long. Yeah, he didn't last long because of that. Nobody understood what was going on with him. Very intellectual dude, but conversation with him go left, at the drop of a hat, and there would be no explanation for it. And we didn't know that he was suffering from CTE, you know. But yeah, basketball's always been a part of my life. I always had a basketball in my hands. Um, my family was either football or basketball. My first true love was football because of my mom's brothers, a couple of my dad's brothers playing football as well, and
Okay.
always seeing the Pop Warner helmets, sitting around. Because I have a couple of uncles who are, 10 years older than me. So they were still kids playing Pop Warner when I was little. And I'm a big time Pittsburgh Steelers fan because Uncle Terry, he happened to be playing for the Steelers. Uh, I was 2 years old, and he had three of his helmets on the table in my grandmother's living room. One was all white. The other one was a Cincinnati Bengals helmet with tiger stripes, and the third one was a Pittsburgh Steelers helmet.
Awesome.
And I grabbed that Steelers helmet, put it on, got into a little 3-point stance, and started ramming all the furniture, like I was playing football. But
Right.
that was my first love. But basketball was the
So
one
you
that
know
was most
Myron Cope
acceptable
would thank you. You know Myron Cope would thank you, right? I'm coming home to the
for
place that I belong. You're always
me.
home with us, okay? The Steelers have 6 rings. Don't ever forget that.
Six Bird. That's right, Six Bird.
That's right.
And I've been a diehard Steelers fan ever since. But
Well, I
basketball was the
appreciate
most
you.
acceptable for me.
I'm gonna have you
So
sign my terrible towel too. I'm gonna have you sign the
right on.
terrible towel.
That's what's up.
That's
I'll do
great
that. I'll
because
do that.
I'm glad that you said that you liked football. Because I was gonna ask, like, was there any other sports that you might have gotten into? Now, my opinion, you may have been too tall for football. Okay, you may have been perfect for volleyball. Just saying, you would have
Right.
been awesome in soccer. Okay, but my question to you is like, what made basketball like that drive? Did someone come to you in high school and say, this is it? Or, if you want to start your story time, we'd love to know, like, how did it all begin where you actually, started to touch the money with with the basketball and having, that superstardom of like they needing
Right.
you, like your first team, because it
Yeah.
wasn't the Clippers.
It was actually, when I was 10 years old, I was always playing basketball at the parks. I was playing pickup basketball all the time at the parks. I moved to
Okay.
LA when I was 5. When I was 5 years old, my mother and my little sister moved to Los Angeles. And, you know, I'm at the playgrounds at the school playing basketball all the time. And I'm also, in the moments when I couldn't go to the playground, I'm outside just dribbling my basketball up and down the driveway of the apartment that we lived in. So around the age of 10, yeah, I was 10 years old. My brother's father asked me what I wanted to do when I grew up. He asked me what I wanted to be. I told him I wanted to be a professional basketball player. I wanted to play in the NBA. I was a Laker fan. My favorite player was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, which is why I wore number 33 in my career. And, he laughed at me and he told me it'll never happen. He said I might as well prepare to have a regular job like him. And he was a security guard at a hospital. I'm thinking to
Oh, wow.
myself, hell no, I'll never be like you. And so that gave me the extra drive, that I needed to just keep pushing, remembering those words. You'll never make it. You'll never make it. I use
Yeah,
that for motivation,
I like that.
and I had my trials and tribulations. Did some time in juvenile hall. I was a fighter in school. I loved to fight. Because I'm a project baby. If we're not getting along, we're fighting.
We're fighting.
And if we're
Okay,
not fighting,
got
we're
it.
fighting. You know, and I was a little bit of a bully. At times. I can admit that looking back now. I was a bully. And I would intentionally start shit with people just because I like to fight so much. And I was taught to never run. And so
Right.
I never ran. I ran one time. So I go back to Connecticut to live with my dad. Back in the projects, 1986. I'm in 5th grade. Marcus Canby, who I mentioned, you know, we're going to Sands School, which is down the street and attached to another housing project called Sands Projects. And
Okay.
I used to beat them up with kids. So moving back, you know, just picked up where I left off. And I fired on him after school. And his cousin ran up behind me and he had a big chain in his hand because they got tired of it. They got tired of me, my bully antics. His cousin had a big ass chain wrapped around his fist. And he said he was going to get me. And so I'm no fool. I can't beat a chain, so I take off running. And in the projects, we always, you can find anything you need in the projects: bootleggers, candy houses, uh, what else? Bookies, anything you want. Projects, you're gonna find it. So I ran up the stairs to one of the candy houses. Because the candy houses, the doors are always unlocked. You can just walk in.
Okay.
And I ran thinking that the door was open. It's a big steel door. I just bam, ran right into it, you know. So I'm like, damn, I'm stuck. Now they're coming up the stairs behind me, and Slim swings the chain at my head, and I duck, and that chain hit the door so loud, so hard, and it reverberated back into his hand, and hurt his hand, and he dropped it. And he crouched over, said, "Ow!" I fired on him, and I fired on Marcus, and I ran back down the stairs, straight down Bellevue Street, back to the projects. And my dad, I passed him up at the playground outside our building. I passed him up, and he looked and he said, "Boy, where you going? Who you running from?" I said, "There's too many of them," because by that time now there's a group of them that's chasing after me to get me. So there's too many of them. And I run
Yeah.
upstairs. We're on the second floor. And I go right to the kitchen window, and I'm over the planter. And I'm looking out the window, smiling and laughing as the group now, shows up outside the building down below the window. And my dad looks up at me. He said, "Boy, you smart," you know. But I came back downstairs a little while later, and the fight was over, and we're back playing crate ball, But I stayed in Connecticut for half the year, and then shot back to Los Angeles. Got kicked out of LA Unified School District. Ended up getting bussed out to the Valley. Got kicked out of a school there, because I was always in some kind of trouble.
Mhm.
The chair in the principal's office had my little bony ass imprint on it because I was in there
I
so
was
much.
gonna ask that. Did they know your name by then?
Yeah, yeah, they knew. They knew me.
You were
They
Trouble.
knew
Was
me.
your middle name
Yeah.
Trouble?
And my mother worked for the city of Los Angeles, and
Okay.
she worked at City Hall. So imagine, getting these calls from the school every week or so about your kid getting in trouble, you know, and I would beg the principal, please don't call my mom, because I knew what my mom was going to say. When I get home, that ass better be naked and sprawled out on the bed. I'm about to tear your ass up. I'm sick of this, you know. And that's exactly what happened. I'll play outside, do everything until I figured she was on her way, and then I try to time it perfectly, and
Mm.
then run my ass inside the house. Then I'm at the window, peeking through the window, looking for mom. Here she come. Okay, let me go ahead and go and strip down, and lay there like I've been waiting the whole time. You know, she come in and commenced tearing my ass up. Tell me how sick and tired she was of getting these phone calls every week, and how I needed to get my shit together before I ended up like other kids in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Um, because we had kids at that age, 8, 9, 10 years old who were actively gangbanging, and
Yeah.
she didn't want me to be like them,
Right.
but kids, we're sneaky. We're sneaky. So, we find a way to do what we want to do without getting caught,
I
and
agree.
yeah. And so my introduction to gangbanging started early. And, at the age of 12, I was put on a set, and the activity that followed, I learned really early how to be sneaky. We moved out of Los Angeles um, to a city called Baldwin Park, which is about 25 minutes, 20 minutes outside of downtown LA. And
Okay.
it's a primarily Hispanic community, and which is nothing new to me because I grew up with Latinos in LA. I grew up with Puerto Ricans and Dominicans in Connecticut, so it's nothing new to me. The foods are similar, the language is similar, with the exception of a few. But
Mhm.
it was an easy transition for me. I would late at night, I would hop on an RTD, take it back to LA, do what I got to do with my friends, and then creep back home, sneak back in the house. You know, there was a there was a wall outside my window. We lived on the second floor. There's a wall and a gate, and I used to climb up. And because I was tall enough, I'm 5'10" at the time. I can easily access my bedroom without getting
Okay.
caught.
without
you
getting
know.
caught. We would have needed
Yeah,
you
yeah.
when we were sneaking out the house.
Oh yeah, yeah. And so I was the best at hide and seek because I was nimble and I was flexible as a kid. So hide and seek, shit. I'm hiding outside, under the bushes, outside the door, around the house, low, low bushes, that
Mm,
come up knee level. I go down, squat down and get up in there. And nobody can ever find me. I'm hiding in cabinets and shit underneath the sink because people didn't expect for my tall ass to be folded up under there.
that's true.
So being sneaky, was something that came naturally through hide and seek. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so it helped me when it came to time for me to get involved in some bullshit later on. You know.
And I was going to ask that. Like, we always want to say that we know what we have to do to stay on the good side of the law. I would ask, like, was there ever a time where people had asked you to kind of do those things that are not good that may have led you in a different direction? And kind of what did you say to them that led you again to your great success now? I mean, because you said you come from the projects, you come from a place where things were easily susceptible to kind of fall into the wrong crowd. So did you ever have like a
Yeah.
time where you had to like stand your ground and kind of say, listen, this is where I'm going in life and I'm not going to settle?
Uh, that didn't happen until I got to high school. Well, not really because I was still with the bullshit, still with the sneaky shit. But later in
Yeah.
high school, around my senior year, my senior year is when my focus started to change because now, I got all these letters coming in from different universities, that are recruiting me, and I had sprouted by then to 7'2" my senior year of high school, and so it was becoming harder and harder to hide, you know. Even though it's easy for me to disappear, even though I'm the tallest one around, I know how to dip off, unnoticed. You know what I mean? And people be, God damn, where's Keith at? He was just right here. Where'd you go? And I so,
And
but
that's really cool because you said that you had letter offers. Well, did they
yeah,
come in like really fast? Like was it something that you and your family kind of sat down together to decide, or did you have like, this is where I'm going, this is where I want to go?
my mother and I always looked at the letters together. She would hand them to me. The ones that were sent to the school, I would bring home and we'd open them together and go through them. You know,
Mm,
uh,
yeah.
and talk about the different opportunities that I had in front of me. I'm gonna tell you this: my junior year in high school, I walked into the gym for tryouts and for the varsity team, and there was a new coach, little dude named Marty Greenspan, and for whatever reason, he turned me and my Puerto Rican homeboy, Carlos Royal, he turned us away at the door. He said, "Nope, got enough talent on my team. I don't need you." Carlos is like 6'3". He's one of the better players in the school. I'm 6'11". I am the best player in the school, and he turns us away. And so I took offense to that. I've been playing AAU ball by then,
Okay.
and getting my name out there, you know, uh, and I'm playing against all the top competition in California. So when this dude did that to me, school became less and less important. I've always been a highly intelligent person.
Okay.
As a kid, I would sit in school. I would be so bored with the lesson plan. I sit there reading Encyclopedia Britannica during the school lessons. And my teachers used to think I wasn't paying attention. And so they put something on the board and then called me up to the board to solve whatever it was they had up on the board or to discuss whatever it was that they were talking about. And I go up there, handle my business, turn around, and walk back to my desk and crack back open that Encyclopedia Britannica and, continue on my business. They thought I had ADD and, uh, they prescribed the Ritalin and I didn't want to take it. And I eventually ended up taking it and all that shit did was make me drowsy. So now I'm really disconnected, whereas before I'm there. I'm looking at this, but I'm there. You know, I can hear
Yes.
everything that's going on around me. You know, I was very, very aware like that. You know, and the Ritalin really counteracted all that shit. You know, it turned out to be a bad thing for me. You know,
Okay.
but back to that junior year and being turned away from the team. So
Hmm.
what I decided was, okay, well, fuck it. If if I'm not going to play this year, there's no need for me to keep my grades up. You know, and I go to school, you know, and I go to the classes, but I wouldn't turn in shit. You know, I'm still paying attention to what's going on, but I ain't turning in shit. Fuck them. You know, when it's time for the tests and the exams, cool. I'm getting top grades on the tests and the exams. You know, that's the only reason why they passed me up to the 12th grade, because they could see that I was able to do the work, that I didn't have a problem with the work. You know, it was just the other shit that I didn't do. And
Right.
so now the recruiting process is coming thick. And
I believe it's changed now. Like they have to get the
yeah,
education now. They just don't give it to
yeah,
you. Yeah, I've heard that.
right, exactly. And so what happened was, now they're telling me, hey, you don't have enough credits to even receive the scholarships that we're trying to give you. So I said, okay, what do I have to do? Um, one of my high school, the man who I ended up playing for eventually, Mark Adams, he told us exactly what I needed to do to get back on track. So my senior year in high school, I had to make up all the credits that I bypassed in my junior year. So I was going to school every day from 7:30 in the morning until 10 o'clock at night. You know,
Okay.
Monday through Saturday, Monday through Saturday. You know, and I graduated. Everybody graduated in June. I graduated in July. You know, because I had to make up all those damn credits. But I did it. I did it.
Good.
You know,
Good.
and because we got the fight or flight mentality, and I'm a fighter. I don't turn down anything. I don't run from anything. This was a challenge for me to prove to myself that I could get to where I wanted to be, you know, and where I thought I should be. A lot of
Right.
schools wanted to redshirt me because I was so thin. You know, they didn't know about my high metabolism, you know, and
I
so
know you
they
actually had the lowest BMI for NBA
my
history.
height,
That's a fun
yeah,
fact, people. Yes, he had the
yeah,
lowest, meaning he was lean. And I'm so glad that you brought that up because I definitely want to
mhm.
show the ladies. Shout out to everybody in the building. Shout out to everybody watching this on the replay. You can hit the like or not. Please like and subscribe to Boss's channel. It's actually in the title if you click his name. I will allow people to come up and ask him questions at the end. I appreciate you guys. But this is a beautiful moment when you were walking. You were at, what is it, Venice Beach in California?
Venice
And
Beach.
did you ever feel like superior, towering over everyone? I mean, because you've been doing this since you were young. I mean, I could imagine
No,
talking to you and looking up, and I feel like I would have followed you, because one thing about a tall, strong man, his demeanor is always giving and always kind of looking down upon us. So, did you ever feel like you were like, was your humbleness always there? Because you're really humble and you're really an awesome person. And like I said, I
I've
will,
always
love Boss,
I've always been a humble person, you know, but I always had that other side of me as well. I like to I'm the type of guy, I like to laugh. I like, you know, joke around, play pranks on people, have a lot of fun. You know, I get
Yes,
serious when I
me
need to be serious. But,
too.
you know, life life is too short, and you gotta enjoy life. So I enjoy every moment of life, you know. And I never wanted to make the people around me feel uncomfortable, you know. So I didn't project this air of superiority, you know, when I was out in public, you know, because again, I'm like everybody else. I just had, you know, I'm just a little taller than everybody, and I got a different job now, you know. But it was never about making anybody feel less than. Always made sure that everybody knew that we were on an equal playing field, you know, until they pissed me off. Then, okay, now I go to the next level and separate myself from them because I don't play fair, you know. Um, but I didn't like, I didn't like being, you know, in a negative mood. So that's why I was always joking around so much. Like a lot of my peers will tell you, yeah, man, keep full of shit. He always pulling pranks, always fucking with people. You know, didn't matter who they were. You know, if you were going to be around me, you had to have a smile on your face. You had to be, you know, you had to be joyful. Because why kill the mood with a bad attitude? You know what I mean?
I definitely agree.
Just started to
And
rain
a lot of people will try to
a little bit.
No worries.
What's that?
Can you hear me?
Hold on. Give me one. Let me back out real quick. I'm gonna hit the link and come back in because the signal dropped because of the rain. And let me drop down, come back in real quick.
Yep. Because he's actually not in America, guys. He will tell where he's at. But just to kind of recap, Kevin Kloss was actually a former NBA Clipper player. All right. If we definitely want to ask him questions, we're going to kind of let him, you know, again, say what he wants to say. But again, he had a great career. He had a great life. He definitely worked for the Neptunes. He was with the Clippers in 1997. So he had a long career, whether it was rebounds, assists, stealing the ball. He did play during the time of 1997 to actually 2000. So welcome back. Again, yep, you're okay. So, you know, I would say that you were blessed and highly favored. I definitely love that you had, you know, like a rough childhood, and it kind of led you to want to help other children as well in your journey. So whenever you became like the Clippers, was there any like charities or any type of events that you know, did with the children, or was there something like you would donate your money to whenever, you know, you did like do charity work?
I had a nonprofit for illiteracy. You know, when I was with the Clippers, because I was an avid reader as a kid. You know, like I said, I'm in elementary school reading Encyclopedia Britannica of all things. You know, that's such a nerdy ass thing to do. You know, but I'm a history whore. You know, I love history. I love world history. So I was an advocate for literacy, fighting illiteracy. I was always the first one that the Clippers called during my tenure there to go into the schools to read to the children, to encourage them to read more, all throughout the city of Los Angeles, county of Los Angeles, you know. And eventually what I did was I started to, my trademark after a while was the afro and the headband. So what I did was I started, you know, getting these headbands made with my nickname, Boss number 33. And I would take them with me and I would pass them out to the children at the schools. And then I ended up purchasing 30 tickets every game, every home game, or not every home game, but maybe half of the home games, 20 home games. I purchased 30 tickets for various children's foundations, boys and girls clubs, and schools, you know, so that they could come and watch Clippers games. They all got a T-shirt with my picture on it and a headband that said "Boss Kloss," you know, and they were known as Kloss's bosses, you know, the little bosses, you know. The Clippers,
that
they
would
didn't
be
want me
perfect for
to
your
be the only
YouTube
one.
channel. Yeah, for your YouTube channel, that's perfect for your minions in the chat.
And you know, the Clippers,
Be the
they didn't want
bosses.
me to be the only one doing that because I was getting into a lot of trouble out there in LA still. They didn't want me to be the only one that was bringing in groups, you know, and that would specifically be there, cheering me on. And so they started bringing in other players and having little sections for them as well, you know. And I thought that was cool. It didn't bother me. Okay, cool. Trendsetter, because the
Trendsetter.
neighborhood in our firm, we trendsetters. So it only makes sense. And but in the meantime, I'm still getting in trouble out in the streets. You know,
I mean, because we're only human,
being from
you
Los
know,
Angeles,
and we
yeah,
can't
being
do
raised in
anything
Los
wrong.
Angeles, being a gangbanger, an active gangbanger, not just a member, but also active gangbanger. You know, I got to drive through certain neighborhoods to get to the arena, or to get to practice. And
Okay.
these neighborhoods, we don't get along with them. And I'm such an idiot. Well, not an idiot, but I was so full of myself that I had a burnt orange excursion. See, my neighborhood colors were blue and orange. So I got a burnt orange excursion. I got the loudest beat in the city. You hear me coming 5, 6 blocks away, and they knew I was coming. And so what ended up happening is they're shooting at me, and I'm just trying to go to practice and trying to go to my game. And so I had to have homeboys with me, so that they can let off back at me, make sure that we got them safely, and eventually where I started, driving with the firearm on me as well, to protect myself. And I was getting into shootouts while I was in the NBA, my way to games, on my way home from games, on my way to practice, on my way home from practice, and I'm not saying that to glorify that activity or anything. It was just part of my life at that time, you know. Uh, I'd always tell younger kids that they didn't want to be, gang members. They didn't want to join a gang. I tell them why. It was a bunch of stress. It was stressful. You're always on high alert. You're always looking over your shoulder. You don't know who's coming for you at any time. My neighborhood didn't get along with anybody. We had maybe, 2 allies, 3 at most, you know. So it was us against the world, basically. And I knew that, they were going to come for me regardless, because now I'm the tallest representative of my neighborhood, you know. I
Mm,
wasn't that dude. I wasn't that nigga. I wasn't the most gangster by far, by far.
by
I
far,
was a
right?
puppy. I was a puppy compared to, a lot of my peers. I just wasn't a punk. People knew that they just couldn't punk me, because again, don't turn down anything,
Right.
And the first thing I say is, well, shit, we can get down, the next thing you know, squabbling up, going from the shoulders. So again, I like fighting. So no correction. I loved fighting. So it was only natural for me, Um, my peers in the NBA couldn't understand it. Man, you got all this going for you. You make millions of dollars, man. Why are you doing this? I was trying to mix the two worlds together. I was trying to
Yeah.
prove that, yeah, I can still be an active gangbanger and, playing the NBA at the same time. And
Yeah.
life just taught me that. Life just taught me that, no, you can't do it. You got to do one or do the other. Pick one. And I was really struggling with that because I didn't want to seem like I was turning my back on my peers, on
Right.
my community,
Right.
so
Or
it
that
was a
you were
real tug
better
of
than
war.
them, or that you
Yeah, it
forgot
was a
about
real
them.
tug of
Right.
war. Exactly, because I've seen people who made it, and who moved away and never came back, and I heard the way that their peers felt about them. I heard the way the community spoke about them. And I didn't want that to be the same thing for me, you know. I had big homies, God bless them, who told me, hey, look, nigga, you don't have to be on the block. You don't have to come. Matter of fact, stop telling motherfuckers you from the set. Just play basketball. You know, you ain't even got to come to the hood day. You ain't got to do this. You ain't got to do that. Stay your ass away. Your life is on a different path now. So it was a tug of war, and I took offense to it rather than being appreciative of it at the time.
Hmm.
Because I felt like I'd owed it to them to show that, yeah, I make the money. The money's not making me. You know, um,
Yes.
one thing that started when I noticed a change. One thing that helped me notice the change You got people doing car washes because somebody's dead in the streets and they don't have the insurance to pay for a funeral. And I find myself pulling over, and I got no business on this block in this neighborhood, but I find myself pulling over, writing a check to cover the expenses. You know, tell them sorry for your loss, God bless you. You know, I hope this helps, and then pulling on. You know, and so my homies just tell me, damn, you got a good heart, little homie. I don't even know why you fucking around like this. You know, you got a real good heart. You know, because I'm always about my people. You know, and because of that, I was garnering more love and respect from a lot of people from different communities. You know, and I was able to function with more people on a deeper level than I normally would have been had I just continued with, you know, nothing but the bullshit. You know,
And that's amazing because then now you've gone through everything, you've accomplished everything that you kind of wanted to, right? Did you
yeah,
have wives? Did you make babies? Did you buy the big house with the big car? And
you know,
respectfully, that's kind
before
of what
anything,
we think as like regular,
yeah,
like commoners. We think that you go to Hollywood to become famous, to get the big house, to get the wife, to get the children. But what were your desires as you continued your career? Was it just to continue alone? Like, did you have children or, a wife?
no, I always wanted a big family. I thought I'd have about 10 kids, you know, because I wanted to continue my legacy, and I love kids. You know, I'm the favorite uncle of all my nieces and nephews. You know, but eventually I ended up, you know, getting a young lady pregnant. It was unplanned. It wasn't something that I, you know, wanted with her, but it happened. Nothing happens by mistake in God's will. You know, and it was crazy because she was dating somebody else. I was dating somebody else. How I met her was I left my wallet on the jukebox at a Fat Burger on Venice and Sawtell. And I ran into her at, damn, I can't remember the name of the spot, but a lot of people it was near the Beverly Center. A lot of people used Jerry's Deli. Jerry's Deli. It was on the edge of Hollywood, Beverly Hills, West LA. Um, you know, so a lot of us would go hang out there, you know, before the club, after the club. There was a who's who. You know, you never knew who was going to be there. And I'm
Okay.
there with a bunch of homies one night. And, you know, we're eating. And, you know, I'm on some bougie shit that night. So I got bottles of wine on the table. Not the Hennessy or nothing, but bottles of red wine, you know, to go with our meals and shit. And she walks up to me. She says, "Excuse me, is your name Keith?" I say, "Yeah." And, you know, everybody at the table, oh shit, you know. She was bad. She was bad. Thick, chocolate. It was beautiful. You know, sleepy, very much. And she said, "Well, look, I found your wallet." I said, "Oh, well, thank you. Do you have it with you?" She said, "No, you're going to have to come get it." So now, you know, everything, you know, goes up again with the fellas. I'm telling them, man, just chill. I said, "All right, cool. Here's my number. You know, I'll call you and let's try to arrange, you know, me picking it up." You know, I said, "Hey, I had about $500 in there. You can keep that as a rule." All right, here we go. So after halftime of a game against the Phoenix Suns, I called her from the locker room, and you know, I said, "Hey, my apologies for calling so late, but you mind if I come get the ball?" She said, "Sure, no problem." So slid through, and you know, I was going to an industry party that night, and you know, I invited her to come along. So she went with me, and the party was hosted by my homegirl Jewel, rest in peace, who was an artist, an R&B artist with Death Row Records at the time. And downstairs were a bunch of male strippers and porn stars for the women, and then upstairs you had the women for the men. I wasn't drinking at the time, but I got her a Long Island iced tea, and I didn't know that she, really wasn't a drinker. But we get upstairs and we're chilling, over the banister, just watching everything. And three women from the industry approached me, and they tell me, they said, "Ah, we finally caught you. It's on and cracking. You can't stop us. You can't get away." And they started to try to undress me right there in front of her. And she pushed him away and said, "No, no, he's with me tonight." And I looked at her like, "Oh, I didn't know you felt this way. I thought we were just chilling." So we got up out of there, and did what we do.
And the rest is history, huh? So you definitely have a story of being violated. My God, today, and we don't wish that on no one, okay? But all this beauty right here, I definitely have to be, So I would ask the question: when you were in the Hollywood status, how many people did you go to their parties? Did you ever go to like any of the not the other party, but like were you involved?
I went to a lot of mansion parties. I went to a lot of mansion parties. A lot of times people would do, throw parties at clubs. So we were either at the club or we were at mansion parties.
Yeah, I want to hear a story about the mansion. Now, I don't want to get too much, but you did suffer with alcoholism and you have recovered.
Yeah.
And blessings to you and hugs to you. But I would ask that kind of as a double question. When you were doing the mansion parties, is this where all the alcohol was just laying around? Were things at your fingertips that caused kind of that, story?
I always had everything at my fingertips, hell, I was drinking on the bench during the games. I pull up to the arena and I'm faded already, and my water bottle said Gatorade, but I had whatever I bought at the liquor bank on Crenshaw. That's what I had in my water bottle that night, and it was so, and for me, it was a normal thing. It was a normal thing to get fucked up. I didn't know how to just sip anything. I gulp it.
I see. People from LA people from California tend to kind of whoop, there it is. So yeah, I get it.
And so, I made it to the NBA with a hangover. You know what I mean? So playing under the influence was natural for me. It was as natural as playing sober, because basketball was just in my blood. So the alcoholism was something that carried over. The alcoholism carried over from my childhood.
Okay.
Actually, being in the projects, I drank with my dad. You know what I mean? And my dad was the first person to introduce me to marijuana at the age of 2, 3 years old. So, and for me, it was normal. So
I understand.
I was always sneaking beer, sneaking alcohol at family functions, and when nobody was paying attention, I'm in the refrigerator. I got a couple cans of beer in my pocket and under my shirt, and I run out, hide behind the garage and drink. Me and a couple cousins would drink, and of course, I drink the majority of it because they just wanted to taste it,
Right.
And so more was better for me.
And I would say that in that time when did anyone ever mention to you, like, don't go to the games intoxicated? Did the coaches or anyone say anything to you about coming to the games drunk? Or
yes,
because I would think that you're intimidating.
A lot of my peers did.
Go ahead.
Yeah, a lot of my peers did, and because see, people think that I always had the wrong people around me, and that the people who were around me just wanted me for what I could do for them. But I had solid ass dudes around me who really cared about me as a person, who really loved me like a brother, and they would tell me all the time, "Keith, cuz you can't, come on, man, before the game, come on, cuz you going to work, man," but being full of myself and so confident in myself and being able to still perform at a high level, although intoxicated, I dismissed it. I dismissed it. But I had a lot of people who were constantly in my ear, talking against me doing that. I just felt like I could because I had been for so long. I was a functioning alcoholic. You know, um, there were many blackout nights. There are many nights where I'm coming to next to some strange woman, and especially on road trips. And I heard stories about people who blacked out while they were drinking. The next day they woke up, come to find out they had slept with a man. And I
Oh,
was always
wow.
afraid of that. And I was always afraid of that because we clown the hell out of those guys. And here I am in a situation now where I'm coming out of a blackout, I'm hungover, and I notice this person laying next to me under the covers, and I'm praying, God, please don't let me fall in that category. And I'm nervous as hell. I see the condom box on the open condom box, and a used condom on the nightstand, but still, who is this? And I'm praying and praying as I lift up the covers, to check and make sure that everything's in its rightful place, and then breathing a sigh of relief, thanking God that, okay, it ain't me. I ain't gonna be added to that list, but if that didn't scare me enough to be careful, to be more careful.
And sometimes it doesn't take that scare, boss. It really doesn't. You'll keep doing it and you'll push it to the limit. And so I would say when your time to recover, because you did go through, the recovery period, did you have a lot of support, or did people kind of like say, hey, we kind of like you like this now, for you to stop?
I had a lot of support, great deal of support, overwhelming level of support from people everywhere, and because they wanted what was best for me. They actually wanted what was best for me. It was just me. I couldn't get past myself. I couldn't get out of my own way.
Wait, say that again. I'm sorry, boss. Can you say that again? What did you say?
I couldn't get out of my own way.
That part. Because we don't change until we want to change, right, sir? And so I would say that sometimes it's the darkest moments where you realize that you are stronger than you believed in yourself. And so when you believed in yourself, things started to change. I actually have a clip of you with a child, and they were asking you a question. And I think you do remember, but we can review it. But they were asking you a question on who the GOAT was for NBA. And even in the moments that you realized that, you may have been that moment, you could have said anything you wanted to say. They actually said that this was the most humbling thing. And so I noticed again that even though you went through alcoholism and you went through, some addictions, of whether it was sex or women and ladies, you actually stayed humble enough to help the children. And so when you're thinking of people that say they can't get out of alcoholism or that they're stuck in a rut, I want people to remember what he said, that you have to take time to look for yourself. No one's going to help you but you. And the more that you can love yourself, the more that you can get enough strength to get up out of it. A lot of people don't have that beautiful support system that you had, so that road may be harder for them. But you've inspired a lot of people, and you've definitely inspired me to do better. And I would say that, if I ever came across a time where I was down in the dumps and I had a conversation with you, that you would give me the good advice to keep going and to be myself. Now, I appreciate you. You could have been anywhere today and you're here with me. And I appreciate that. And I'm going to play.
We're here with Crossover Nation. Let's go. But that man's a proven winner from high school, college, on into the pros. And he's still the number one scorer in NBA history. So, Abdul-Jabbar, that's my favorite. What? No way. Great player, but no way. But
And so I would say that again, you definitely make that possible for people's dreams. I saw the smiles on their faces. And I would ask you that, like, now that you've, retired from the NBA, you've been there, done that. Do you regret anything? Do you wish anything would have been different? Because now your story is so amazing, right? So where you're at now would be.
I have zero regrets. I have zero regrets because it's those trials and tribulations, those experiences that I had, that shaped me into the person that I am today, that allow me to be where I am today. Basketball's taken me all over the world. I played for a short time with the Harlem Globetrotters. I played, in Italy, Germany, China. So, that's why, you see my name, Worldwide Boss, because I'm a worldwide figure, and it's been such a blessing to survive my best attempts at ruining my own life. I survived the attempts at ruining my own life. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
It was only through God's grace and mercy. And I recognize that. I acknowledge that, and it keeps me centered. It definitely keeps me centered. I got sober in 2007. And my first attempt at sobriety, well, no, not my first attempt. 1998, I got 2 DUIs in 2 months. We were going through a lockout in the NBA. And so the Clippers sent me to Atlanta, Georgia to a rehab there. And I'm around other high profile people, who are on TV and in politics. And they would have guest speakers come in and share their experiences with alcoholism and drug addiction. At that time, this is alcohol and marijuana for me. And I thought I was having fun, and I hadn't had any of the experiences that these people are talking about. They were talking about how they lost everything, lost their careers, lost their families. I hadn't lost shit. We're in the middle of a lockout. So I'm all good, and I tuned out everything that was being said. And because I just wasn't ready.
Okay.
I'm just having fun. I'm just doing me. 30 days after my arrival, they hand me a certificate. I shake the director's hand, get a picture with them. I'm out of there. I stayed dry for a whole calendar year because they were testing me weekly. They tested me once a week. There's these guys, we call them Men in Black, because they always had black briefcases, shades. When we saw them, we knew somebody was getting tested. So now these guys are coming to my home or wherever I'm at, and my name gets pulled, and I got to drop a journal right there in front of them. And they're watching, they're looking at me, holding my piece in my hand and peeing into a couple of cups, sign an initial here. Thank you. We'll see you next week. I stayed dry only because of that, not because I wanted to, but because I was being forced to. A year later, we're on the road. We're playing in Atlanta, where I was at that recovery center. And I go down to the hotel bar. One of my teammates is sitting there with this little Atlanta piece. And, we greet each other. And I sit down at the bar. He said, "Hey, man, what you doing?" I said, "Oh, man, I'm about to, set it off, get ready for this night." He said, "No, man, don't do it, boss. Don't do it." I said, "Nah, I got this, And I proceeded to drink about 10 double Long Islands with no ice, about a dozen, about 12 to 16, bottles of Heineken, and then took off to the club. And I remember I'm sitting behind the rope in the section with Ja Rule or Gotti. We sitting there chilling.
Cool.
Just catching up.
With Ja Rule and Gotti?
Yeah, John was my dude. So, we were able to catch up with each other. You know what I mean? Because it had been a minute since we saw each other. And
okay.
be chilling, and I'm continuing to drink, while I'm there. And I remember very little about that night. I couldn't even tell you what songs they were playing, you know. And I come to the next morning, and there's this red bone laying next to me, this thick ass red bone laying next to me. But again, that fear creeps in like, shit, man, don't let this be, don't let this be. Raise up the covers, boom, everything's where it's supposed to be. Thank you, God. Now, who is this? Lean over. It's the receptionist from the hotel that checked us in the night before.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. I found out later that we snuck
I'm not going to hold
into
you or interrupt your interview, but if I was there, you would have woke up to this space too. But I'm going back on you. I feel like I was always a groupie for Tupac. Like, so I would have been the groupie running and chasing him state to state. So I get it. It's a little whorish though, boss, but we ain't gonna hold you.
I am. I am. I am a little whorish. I'm trying to do better.
Little Shop of Horrors is where we're at. And you know what? It's okay, because in your life, you've experienced a lot of people. You got to see a lot of beautiful women. You've been a lot of different places. So it's kind of only natural that they would have drawn themselves to you. But could you really trust these women? Just a side note.
No.
Because did they like you for you or your money?
Right. And I knew a lot of the attraction was because of my status, my social status, and then a lot of people that I did, share intimacy with over the years. A lot of the women, we're still good friends to this day. We're able to maintain a good friendship, and that's because, and they let it be known to me. They say, you had everything you wanted in life. You could have picked any woman that you wanted, so I value, I don't just value the time that we shared together, but I value what you shared with me. And it wasn't anything monetary, it was just being able to, lend a listening ear, some words of advice, some moral support, being a real, showing them how, you can be intimate with the dude, but you can really be a friend with that person as well. It doesn't have, the relationship doesn't have to stop because the intimacy stops. You can still be a real person to each other, and so they that's what they all say, and they spoke about my alcoholism, the effect that it had on them watching me go down a path that I was going, and they thought that certain people were trying to take advantage of me, but in fact, I was just being me and making sure that my people were okay. Nobody ever took advantage of me. No matter what I did, what I did for them, what I gave to them, I did it because it's what I wanted to do.
Awesome. I can definitely.
I never did anything that I didn't want to do. I don't wear jewelry anymore. I got both my ears pierced. I used to have big ass diamond studs in my ears, big chunky diamond rings. I gave all of that away. I would just give it away because it was material. It was nothing. I couldn't take it with me when I left this, this planet. Am I still gonna be me without this shit? Hell yeah. Here you go. It's nothing. Oh, you like that? Oh, here. You can have it. It's nothing. I can go ahead and get it again if I want to. And most of the time, I went long periods of time without jewelry because it just didn't appeal to me. And I eventually gave all my shit away.
Okay.
I didn't get the big bling bling, iced out medallions, chains, because I knew it wasn't going to mean anything to me, and then I was eventually just going to give that shit away. So there were limits as far as what I would do for me, what I would give to me. I had a few condos in Marina Del Rey. I finally got a house for my family. 6-bedroom house way deep in the suburbs outside of Los Angeles.
Cool.
Nate Dogg lived around the corner from me. He lived on one cul-de-sac. I lived on another cul-de-sac. And all my siblings had their own bedroom for the first time. You know,
Awesome.
of course, I gave my mom one master bedroom, and then I gave my sister another master bedroom. And you know, my brothers had my two of my brothers that were with us. They had the other two bedrooms. You know, and I had an empty bedroom downstairs next to me. You know, I had one of the smaller bedrooms because, you know, I wasn't really going to be there too much, and they needed it more than me. You know, and so I was glad to be able to do that for my family. You know,
Right.
getting my mom an SUV so that, you know, my brothers can, you know, she can get my brothers where they got to be comfortably. My sister, you know, where she could get where she needed to be comfortably. You know, my mom loves figurines and, you know, clocks and all, you know, all the
All the little
statuettes
trinkets.
and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, the statuettes. She loved the jaguars. She loved giraffes. So different rooms had different themes, you know, and she was gonna need room to, you know, for that shit in the vehicle. So
Yeah.
here's an addition, you know. She didn't have to worry about that. You know, one of my sister, she lived with me while I was in the NBA. Yeah, she had her room at the house, you know,
Okay.
but she lived with me. She and my toddler niece lived with me, you know, for several years. My sister cooked for me, made sure that everything was straight for me, that home felt like home. Even though I got all these different women coming to the door like a revolving door, you know, the homies coming through, kicking it. No, but really, women were passing each other, coming in and out of my front door, you know, and looking at each other. You know, like that Spider-Man meme where Spider-Man's looking at Spider-Man, you know, pointing at each other like this. That's how the women were with each other. You know, and they knew what time it was because I was always open and honest, you know. And so there wasn't too much drama really, you know, with the women because I stayed honest with them about what it was, you know. And I told, and if I said that I was in a relationship with you, then just know I'm your man. But yeah, I'm still gonna, you know, every once in a while, I'm still gonna play, you know.
Right.
And if you decide to play, then you decide to play. I'm not gonna hold you to. I'm not gonna be upset with you and treat you differently because of how I'll move. You know what I mean? I hooked up. I hooked up one of my girls, my fiance at the time. I hooked her up with Method Man, and she didn't even know it. I knew that she was
No
his biggest.
way.
She was his
I
biggest
love
fan, and
Method Man.
he used to
With
tease me,
with
trying to make me jealous, and telling me,
yes.
"Oh, if I ever meet Meth, oh, it's on. You can guarantee that he about to get some of this." And she was a thick, fine ass red bone too. I got her a
Okay.
nice 2.5, 3 carat diamond, you know, because I was serious about her. Green eyed bandit, beautiful.
Oh, oh,
And
not the green-eyed bandits.
so
Don't do me. Don't do me.
green eyed bandit. So,
We are
you
not
know,
trouble starters, okay?
look, it is fellas, if she ain't like, she ain't right. No,
I
but
know that.
beauty
Oh,
comes in all
oh.
beauty comes in all colors. Beauty comes in all
Yes,
shades. You know, chocolate don't break me out, but I love a red bone.
I know
So,
that's right.
you know,
And I would say
we
that
went to
so
I
go
took her
ahead.
with me to I took her with me to All-Star Weekend up in Oakland in 2000. And Meth, Red, bunch of other, you know, celebrities, they all come together for All-Star Weekend because we all function together outside, you know. And so I introduced her to him. And there she is wearing this big ass ring, you know, introduced her to him. And I said, man, look, every time one of your videos come on, I gotta hear about how if she ever meets you, you gonna get some of this. And he was laughing and, you know, he was like, nah, man, come on. You do that to my boy? And she was like, look, I already told him, but nah, I wouldn't do it. I said, I lined it up. That's what I heard him knowing. I told him, I put him to the side. I said, look, my nigga, you know how I get down. You know, I know she really, really love you. So I ain't gonna hold this against her. I ain't gonna falter, but go for it. He was like, what? I said, bro, you know how I get down. But you gonna marry his phone. I know, but hey, this is one of her, you know, fantasies, so fuck it. We gonna make it come true. And
Mine was Denzel
I
Washington. Yep.
Yeah, and so I set that up, and she didn't even know. She was trying to keep it a secret. She thought she was keeping it a secret from me, you know, and she didn't know that I knew the whole time. And I told her years later, years after the fact, what I did, and she was in such shock, and she just sat there quiet on the phone, you know, and I had to explain to her again, sweetheart, although I loved you deeply, I loved you dearly, I knew how you felt about this dude, and I knew how I was living my life. So there was nothing, and there's nothing that I was gonna hold against you and judge you for because of the way I was moving, you know. Um, Me and her, we still good today. We still good today. Still on good terms.
That's what's
Words of
up.
encouragement through messaging. Every once in a while. You know what I'm saying? Um, we stay in touch with each other. You know.
Did you regret that though? Like, did you regret that
No,
because you were gonna marry her, or you just okay?
no, nah, because it was God's plan. I could try to take credit for it. Yeah, I lined that up. That was God's plan. You know what I'm saying? That was all God's plan because there was a bigger picture of, she had to go her path in life and
Right.
become who she is today. I had to go my path in life to become who I am today. And she's an amazing woman.
Awesome.
She's an amazing friend. You know what I'm saying? She's an amazing aunt to her nephews and nieces. So uh, it was absolutely necessary. That's why I said constantly, I have no regrets about anything.
Yeah.
None at all.
I mean,
Because
I don't
at
either
some
in
point,
life. I don't either in
I
life.
think at some point, I would have, if I continued to maintain romantic relationships with certain people, would have completely destroyed everything where we wouldn't be able to communicate with each other today.
Okay.
You know, yeah, yeah. So, um,
And like you said,
like,
God made it happen, good or bad. There's always a reason for everything. You wind up having how
absolutely,
many children?
only one, only
Only
one. There were a
one.
couple. There were a
Awesome.
couple miscarriages, a stillbirth. You know, only one. And I'm a guy that wanted 10 kids.
Yeah, you
But
said that, and
God,
and you got
yeah,
one.
God's
So you got
plan.
9 more to
Yeah,
make. Just saying.
God's plan because God knew what He was doing with me.
Right.
Because of the way I was moving. And so He He gave me what I could handle. What was just right for me, whether I agree with it or not, is what God had for me.
Yeah, you
And so
definitely didn't want that story of 5 kids out there screaming that their dad wasn't nobody on the internet or the news, because at any time I could walk past you and be like, "Oh, he hit me in my arm. Oh my God, it was," and then, and now you got to
yeah,
sign like 20 t-shirts to back out of that. I would say out
yeah.
of all the people that you've met in your lifetime, and either famous or non-famous, who really touched your heart, boss? Who like sits with you in your heart that it was a fun time? It was what they say, a fun time, not a long time. Someone that you've like literally stayed with for over these 30 something years and they're still like, you're a good friend. Is there anybody that you could really like shout out to that you would want to say that, we're still together, we're still out here? Because now you're actually a coach in
Yeah.
what you do now. So you've kind of
Uh,
retired all that stuff. But like, is there someone that's still holding on? I know you know a lot of famous people, but is there just like one person that kind of still holds on that you hold in your heart?
there's many. There's many. My boy DeAndre Bonds, Antoine Tanner, Cherry Johnson. Cherry was Punky Brewster's best friend. She was Maxine on Family Matters. You know, uh, Cherry. Who, who else? Who else?
I
There's
love
so
Family
many.
Matters. You knew her from Family Matters? What?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
wow. She was so
yeah.
gorgeous growing up.
She's gonna, she still is with her crazy butt. She's gonna be on my podcast soon. Um,
Awesome.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
she sends me videos of her daughter's basketball games. Her daughter's playing basketball now. So, you know, and I'm giving her little pointers, little guidance along the way. You know what I mean? Because she really, really loves it. She's only 8. She really loves it. So I'm just encouraging baby girl the best way that a crazy uncle could, you know. But there are so many people, and even people who don't have big names. I'm a man, Coach Charles Lovely out of Los Angeles, my college coach, Mark Adams, my whole college staff, Ted Woodward, Mark Borgeson, uh, Doug Leichner, and then my high school coach, Doug Watt, rest in peace. You know, my Slammer Jam coach, Jim Espinosa. There's so many people that who are still down with me. We're still down with each other to this day.
Good.
And
Yeah.
where again, it doesn't matter what I have in my pockets. It doesn't matter,
Right.
What I'm driving. It doesn't matter, nothing of the material matters. It's all about the personal. It's all about what's in here, what's inside
Definitely.
the heart, And
when I met you, I was
relationships.
astonished. When I first met you, I said, he's amazing. He's so tall and he speaks so intellectually. And they were like, Janet, you don't know he's a former NBA player? I said, no. And they're like, well, ask him questions, get it out. I said, no, I'm not doing that. That's Boss. And Boss is hanging out with us. And that's exactly what we did that day, my friend. And I got to hang out with you, and I'm honored. I am so honored. Like, I don't want to go into oh my God, can he sign my poster? Can I have a t-shirt? I didn't want to get all crazy, but I did feel that energy after I realized I'm sitting with greatness. And so I'm honored and I appreciate you because, again, you could be anywhere, but you're with me and I love our friendship. And I didn't know you as the famous NBA Clipper, but you're still Boss to us. And shout out to No Cut TV for bringing us together. He's a great guy and he actually brought us together. And I would say that the networking is amazing. And I want you guys to like and subscribe to Boss's channel. He will start his podcast. He does interviews over there, and he'd be more than happy to answer any questions. I will allow people to come up at the end to actually ask questions if you'd like. But Boss, one thing I would say, moving forward with all your new YouTube friends and the things that you have learned in life, what is the journey now for the Boss? What's the skies looking like now for you?
The journey for me, the path that I'm on right now is just elevating the youth, and I'm just using basketball as a vessel to do that, empowering the youth, letting them know that there are going to be rough times in life, but you can overcome it, and it's not just the youth, but anybody, being sober for almost 17 years, I get to go to recovery centers in these different countries and carry a message to recovery to people who need to hear it, who are struggling with alcoholism and drug addiction. Last year I went to one here in Costa Rica, for minors, for underage abusers, and I got a chance to sit there and talk with them, and watch the solar eclipse with them. This was Saturday, October 14th of 2023.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And then last month I got a chance to, go to another recovery center that's not too far from home here. And, this was more upscale. And one of the owners, I play in a basketball league, a veterans basketball league, against him. And he came up to me and he said, hey, I'm familiar with your recovery because you shared it, openly. So I'd love for you to, come and talk to my clients. And we set it up and boom, there it was. I go into schools here. I give motivational, talks to the students. I'm getting ready to partner up with one of the most famous soccer players from Costa Rica to, start going out, branching out all throughout the country and South America to motivate athletes and go into the hardest communities, the most difficult communities to you know, to elevate them, to help them elevate, to help them realize that their dreams can become realities. You know,
Right.
that where they're at, their circumstances around them, the circumstances that they're in don't have to define them, and that they can actually grow from them, they can learn from them, they can grow from them, become better, because of their experiences. See, I turned what was once my worst characteristics into strengths. So now they're my strongest characteristics. All the shit I went through with the alcoholism, you know, being jumped and it going viral on the internet when the internet really started popping. You know,
Wait a minute. I have to stop you right there. You got jumped?
I got jumped in LA outside of a nightclub by
Okay.
20 people from a rival gang, and they're actually from one, two, three rival gangs
Okay.
that were involved in jumping me. And again, my neighborhood didn't get along with anybody, and I was filled with the shit. You know,
Makes sense,
and,
right?
and
Yeah.
so see, people are watching for you to fall. It doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter who you are. You could be the postman. You could work the checkout counter at the grocery store. People are watching, and and when you fall, they want to see, are you gonna just lay there and get trampled over? Or are you gonna get up and keep pushing forward? And I've always gotten up and kept pushing forward. I always kept it moving because I'm just built like that, you
Built
know.
like that.
And
Ford tough,
and
honey.
so
Ford tough.
yeah. And so, you know, I never let anything or anybody else stop me.
Good.
And then eventually I, I got out of my own way to where I could do even bigger and better things, and I try to do things on a small scale because it's those small things that you do that add up to something great, something big, you know. So I try to stick around the small scale things, but they always turn out to be something big because of who I am, and what I bring to the table, you know. And hell, I am the table, but I
I
understand that.
know that's right.
But I
Some
don't,
people
but I
don't even
don't
understand
project
that.
myself. I don't project myself out there like that. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? 'Cause gotta stay humble. Gotta make sure that the people around me know that, hey, if you're here with me, you're here with me for a reason. You know what I mean? And I'm not gonna make them feel less than. I'll
Right.
make them feel like, hey, we're gonna do this together. We arm in arm. I might be a foot and a half, 2 feet taller than you, but goddamn it, okay, it's shoulder to hip. But damn it, I'm treating it like it's shoulder to shoulder. You know what I
And
mean? I'm
that's
treating it
what
like
we
it's
do
shoulder
in
to shoulder.
Wonderland. Yes, in Wonderland,
You
I
know,
allow everyone in. It doesn't matter how small, how short, how, anything that it is. Everyone's welcome because of that. I like that. Because we don't never know who we'll
yeah,
meet when we're talking to other people. And you never know who you
exactly.
will inspire. And again, I thank you so much for your alcohol story because a lot of people suffer with alcoholism out here. And we don't wish
Yeah.
that on anyone, but they kind of
Nope.
don't want to hear the story of how you survived. Like you said, some people wish that it stayed the same, but nothing ever stays the same. Tomorrow is a new
Right.
day, it was promised. And so what we do today
Right.
can matter. And so I thank you for sharing that because there are probably a lot of people that you speak to that kind of want that person that can help them in that area. I mean, like you
Yeah.
said, life gives us lemons. We'll do the best we can with it. But 17 years of sobriety is amazing, and I'm proud of you. And I also want to
Thank
say that I'm proud of you for never giving up and never surrendering. There was probably a lot of things in the NBA that you may not have approved of, because I know that
you.
you
Right.
said going to where you're at right now, you don't ever want to come back to America. And
Don't ever. Don't ever. I don't ever want to go back to the United States of America. It's a shit country that's still, deteriorating with each and every passing day. A lot of my peers, like I lived in China for many years. China at one point was my second home. And I've lived all over the country. Um, so I've experienced all different dynamics of China. And So people thought that we were out there eating dog and cat and rats. No, that's not what it was. Yes, it does
Thank you for
exist in certain
clearing that up.
provinces. Yes, it does exist in certain provinces because that's, that's the best that they can do, and because to them, meat is meat. So what's a pet to me or you, or what's a rodent, a pesky rodent to me or you, that's a meal to somebody. Some of our people in Africa are still, you know, hunting for rodents and eating the meat of those rodents. Yet we don't talk about them, because we're not going to these African restaurants, and eating their food. We're not eating tribal food. You know, this is something that people, the cavemen go back to the earliest days of man. What were they eating? Everything, including insects, including raw eggs. This before they discovered fire. They were cutting open the animal and they were eating the organs, fresh from the animal. You know what I mean? So, now modern days, yeah, we're cooking everything.
Right.
And that's what's normal to us. What's normal to them was slice that bad boy open, cut out some slices, hand them around, and everybody's sitting there chewing on it. Got blood dribbling down like it was gravy. You feel me? But China, I ate some of the healthiest food in my life in China.
Okay. And I thank you for saying that, because they say that China is a dirty country and that their food was not clean. So thank you for saying that. I've never been to China. I don't think I ever want to go, respectfully, but
you would. Oh, if you ever get the opportunity to go, and you'll thank me later for going. You'll thank me later for going. China is one of the safest countries in the world. They have some of the harshest laws, some of the harshest penalties for crime. Which helps. You know what I mean? So the citizens don't want to be in a Chinese jail, a Chinese prison, a Chinese work camp, labor camp. Most of the time, it's foreigners who go over there thinking that we're carrying the same rights from our country into a native country. Your rights only work for you and your country, but now you're here. You got to follow our laws, And that's how a lot of foreigners will get caught up in other countries when you see locked up abroad. They were breaking the laws of that country, thinking that their shit carried over with them. It doesn't work that way. Each country has their own set of laws and rules that we must abide by, just like the people there, just like they're expected to when they come to the United States.
Correct. And just like state to state, there's different laws in the different states.
Exactly. State law, federal law, exactly. Right. Provincial laws, exactly. So then we're in Istanbul for a few years. Me and little mama in Istanbul for a few years. We met in China, but we're in Istanbul for a few years. She's teaching, I'm coaching, and we're loving it. Because Istanbul is another country. Turkey's another country that's rich in history. I mentioned earlier on that I'm a history whore, and I thought that I learned everything I could from Encyclopedia Britannica and National Geographic. No, once I got to these other places, I found out that what I knew didn't even scratch the surface, And I mean, Discovery Channels can only show you so much, but once you touch the land yourself, you breathe the air, you taste the air. You know what I mean? You're interacting with the people. You're eating the food. You're sitting there eating the food that they grew up eating. That's been passed down through the generations, through the thousands of years of their history. It's different. It's different, and it's so enlightening. And you develop not just friendships, but you develop extended family. That's what you truly develop when you go to these other countries. You're there for an extended period of time, especially if you're working there. You develop new family bonds with people. If I were to go back to China, let's say I had a flight tomorrow to go to China, I got several people I can call and say, hey, my flight gets in at such and such time. Okay, great. I'll send the car to pick you up. You're coming straight to the house. We're going to have dinner ready, or whatever time you get here. Maybe I'll get there for lunch. We'll have a meal prepared. You're staying here with us. I hope you didn't get a hotel room, you know, and that's just to get down the energy between people, you know. Turkey, they tell you in Turkey, we deal with you based on your energy. If you have good energy, if you vibrate at a high level, we're gonna fuck with you and we're gonna embrace you even more, you know.
I like
And
that.
it turned out to be true. You know, Turkey's so chill and relaxed. You can go ahead and break something, break your phone, and you know you panicking because you conduct business off the phone. It's no problem, no problem. It's okay, no problem. But you sitting there trying to pull out your hair. I need my shit. Oh, it's no problem. I'll take care of it. I had overrun my residency, not paying attention, you know, and it was, you know, I'm in the 11th hour now. Oh, okay, no problem. I make a call to my friend in the government, and we go ahead and take care of it. And you know, got my residency taken care of, you know, for another year. You know what I mean? So that I wouldn't be penalized by the country and have to leave for 5 years for, you know, or face a 5-year ban. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Because you can't, you know, you get penalized for overstaying your visa time.
I was going to
You
say,
know?
could you explain that? Because me as an
Yeah.
American, I've never had that. I know what it feels like when people do come here. But if you'd like to
Mhm.
explain that, so is that like a visa? Is that a green card?
Yeah.
Like, how does that work?
It's a visa. It's a visa. Now, if you're just traveling, then you have a tourist visa, and they vary between 30 days to 6 months. Some are more. Uh, China, for instance, gave a 10-year visa with multiple entries. So you can you can actually it's a multiple entry, but every 90 days you have to leave. You know, so every 3 months you would have to leave the country, and then you can come right back in. You know, so what I was doing is I get a flight to Hong Kong because it was considered separate from China, from mainland China. I fly to Hong Kong for a couple hours, chill, then fly back home to Shanghai and do what I got to do. You know, here in Costa Rica, they just changed it to from a 90-day to 180 days, which is 6 months. So, you know, you can come here for 6 months and chill, and then right before your 6 months is up, you got to bounce, and then you can come back. You know, I would go to Fort Lauderdale to my uncle's house, my great uncle's house. I spend a weekend with him chilling, you know, and then do some stuff with him. Like I've gone to the schools he's worked at, and I've spoken to the students there at the schools. I did it last time I was, you know, in the U.S. A few months ago. Was that January, February? When was the last time I went to Florida? I don't remember. December? Okay, in December. But going and you know talking to the students at the school in Fort Lauderdale, Hollywood, Florida, and then you know
Mhm.
flying back here and getting back to work with my players. You know, but
And do you
if
coach
you if you're
a certain
seeking
group
if
of
you wait,
people?
hold on 1 second. Don't mean to cut you off.
Yeah,
Now,
no worries.
if you're seeking employment in another country and you get a job in another country, then now you have a work visa, which is the length of your contract with whatever field
I've
of
heard
work,
that.
whatever company you're working with. You know, Lil Mama's a teacher, so she normally signs a 2-year contract with the school in
Okay.
whatever country we're in, and so now she's got a work visa for 2 years. She's got which you know in turn gives her a 2-year residency there. You know
Okay.
what I mean? And you know, so now she has the same rights and everything that everybody else there has.
You
You know,
said
you
she's
get
a
the
teacher?
residency. Yeah, she's a
Okay.
preschool teacher at international schools. Yeah,
Okay.
and it's crazy because it's crazy. I was amazed. I was so amazed because you know she's working with 4 and 5-year-olds, and you know everything is taught in English, even though China, Turkey, everything is taught in English. You know
Okay.
what I mean? And so these kids are giving presentations during parent teacher conferences. They're giving presentations on the things that they created, the volcanoes that they created, that they built. They're
Right.
talking about plants and photosynthesis and all this other stuff, that a lot of people don't learn until we're a little bit older. You got a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old who speaks 3, 4 languages sitting here, breaking it down to their parents, talking about the thought process that went into the creation of this project that's sitting in front of them. So it's not like in the U.S. where we just go through the classroom and say hi to the teacher and look at the little picture on the wall that Johnny or Sarah did. Hold on one
Right.
second.
I
Okay.
appreciate you guys. Please hit the like.
So, you know, these kids are actually telling you,
Okay.
breaking down everything to you at a more advanced level, educationally than our kids in the United States. You know, my players in China, we had a basketball tournament and we invited programs from all over the country to come. And while the kids weren't on the court playing, they're all out in the lobby and they got all these books and notebooks spread out around them. And they're doing all their schoolwork like they were in college. And these kids are in first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth grade, you know, and they're working like they're getting ready to write a thesis. You know what I'm saying? And it was just amazing to me to see how much more work these kids had to do than our kids. But the value of the education that they were receiving was so much greater. You know, everybody they work to become doctors and lawyers. You know, we work to become rappers and athletes. You know
Yes.
what I mean? Our kids grow up wanting to be rappers and athletes because that's what they see.
Right.
Those kids, yeah, they get to see, their little recording artists and whatnot on social media. Okay, but at the end of the day, they're taught to seek a profession, to work for a profession, you know, and they want, some of my kids now who are freshmen in college, they are, my Chinese kids who are now freshmen in college, they're going to Ivy League schools, you know. I remember talking to them, we're on FaceTime, and one of my guys, Bowen, he says, "Yeah, coach, I'm trying to decide if I want to go to Brown or Columbia." I'm like, "What?" He said, "Yeah, man, it's a tough choice. They're both good schools." I looked into the phone and said, "Oh, you fucking nerd." Everyone bust up laughing, you know. But kids are focused on much greater things in other countries, than our kids are. That, because we push other shit into their faces through media. And so that's all they see. And that's what they think is going to get them the big bucks. Well, okay, yeah. For some, it will get big bucks, but what are those people doing to get those big bucks?
Right.
That's why you hear the shit that's going down with Diddy now. That's why you hear
Oh
my little
boy.
brother That's why you hear my little brother Orlando Brown talking about all the things that he's experienced, and that's so.
I'm
We're
glad you mentioned him because I put him in my prayers. I watched him when he was young, and then
Yeah,
something was
yeah.
disturbing as he got older.
I
So
had
I'm
him.
glad he was
I had
able
him
to.
in the hood with me. I had him in the hood with me when he was a little boy.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I was I was a bad influence on him with some of the things that he witnessed me doing, you know. And I regretted that once I saw what was going on in his life later on. And so I ran into him. You asked about different organizations and things that I do. I ran
Okay.
into him at an event that was hosted by Nickelodeon and through the Salvation Army. And we're near downtown LA, around the corner from the Staples Center. And I hadn't seen him since he was about 17 years old at that, And so he looked up at me and said, "Big bro." And I said, "Man, come here." And I just hugged the hell out of him. He was there with his wife and, introduced us. And I pulled him to the side, man, and I said, man, I'm so sorry, bro. I wasn't there for you. I was going through some shit on my own and had to, get my shit back in order. But I see everything you've been going through. It's meant for us to reunite today, here, doing this, giving back, giving back. Because again, people think that we have it easy because we have all the millions of dollars, we have all the toys, all the pretty shit, you know. But they don't understand the things that a lot of people, that most of those people had to suffer through in order to get those things. They don't understand the degrading acts that some people had to perform to have their
Yeah.
face on TV, to have their face on TV,
Wow.
to get a check. You know what I mean? And
I'm glad you
I pray for
said that.
Orlando too. I pray for Orlando too. And uh, I know he and I are going to reconnect. We were staying in touch, on IG, messaging each other from time to time when I was in Turkey. I haven't been able to catch up with him since I moved here. But, you know, God's plan is the greatest plan. He's going to reunite us when the time is right. So in the meantime, I got to keep doing what I'm doing, so that when that conversation comes, what needs to be said will be said,
Right.
you know. But I've done events with the Make-A-Wish Foundation, you
I
know,
like the
and
Make-A-Wish
which is,
Foundation. Yes.
and it's so sad because, we'll get phone calls a couple of days after the event, informing us that this little boy or this little girl are no longer with us, that they went just that fast. You know what I
Mm.
mean? A
Yeah.
couple weeks down the line, a couple months down the line, maybe they held on for another year and they're gone. Some of the people who are in those pictures with us, participating in those events with us, they're no longer here. So, yeah, I've always been about community. I've always been about giving back. I've always been an advocate for the youth and protecting the youth, empowering the youth. I'm an advocate for women and empowering women. Lil Mama's working as my business manager. I got her out there in front. You want to talk to me? You got to go through her. You know what I'm saying? And we live in a chauvinist society. So yeah, you want to fuck with me? You got to get through her first. And she don't play any games. So, uh, and they hate that. They hate the fact that they got to go through a woman to talk to a man.
I love
I did
it.
that shit
Shout
on
out to
purpose.
her.
Yeah, I did that shit on.
Still
She's,
point
she's
no
here in her
games.
moo
A little woman.
She's here in her moo so I can't put her on camera. But,
Well, she can speak if she'd like to speak. Shout out to her if she'd like to speak. She could say hello to the chat, hello to everyone. If not, it's okay.
Hello. I'm little but
Hello.
tough, so I'm taking care of. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. I hope you're well. I would like to ask you a question. Is it easy to
Sure.
take care of the boss?
Oh, he is a sweetheart. I'm just, because I'm from Costa Rica, so I know
Okay.
my culture. I know my culture. I just don't want to people to take advantage of him,
Right.
because he's very humble. He's a good person. So I'm here like the rabbit chihuahua.
Yes.
I have to, I have to deal with guys, because basketball world is mostly with men.
I agree.
So they have to go through me first. So I'm just taking good care of him, and trying for everything to work out in my country. Hopefully it does.
It will.
It will.
We're blessed.
Yeah.
Always.
So I'm little but tough.
I love it. They always say it comes in small packages.
Yeah.
It's okay. What would be your story to tell on your experiences? Is there anything that you would regret in your journey? Because you said you guys have been together for a while. You're moving country to country. Is there anything that you would say that you have regret or learn or would do again or wouldn't?
Was that for me?
It was for her. Just because
Oh, I'm
again, she's
sorry.
a man's world and everything was like manly with it. I was just asking her kind of like, would there be anything that she wished she could have changed or done differently? Did she's, did she stand her ground on everything that she believed in? Was there, a time where she felt like she had to like stand up for you in any area? It's kind of a big open question, but it's like basically, did you regret anything, or is everything happening the way she would want it to happen?
That's what she's asking you.
Well, actually, it has worked more than what I thought, because
Oh,
I met Keith in Shanghai many years ago in 2017, and I saw the kind of person he is, and I said to myself, oh, this is a keeper, you know,
ooh, yes.
and yeah, we connected very well in Shanghai, and I have no regrets because now he's here with me, and I wouldn't never imagine, like seriously, and
I
it's
know.
better than, yeah,
Yeah.
and our
Yeah, that's-
and our sorry,
no,
yeah, and
you're
our
fine.
relationship is, yeah, our relationship is like way better than what I thought. You know, he takes good
Yes.
care of me, and we take care of each other. We have great communication skills. We really love each other, and this is what I wanted, because I knew he was a keeper, but I didn't know he could like give way more than when I met him in Shanghai. Like I'm
Right.
surprised. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
Turn
And
that
that
shit up
makes
and turn
things
that shit up.
exciting. I'm sorry. Go
and,
ahead.
and
We're just in a
also,
little delay. It's okay.
yeah, and I see his potential. Like he's great with kids. He's great like giving like motivational speeches and all this, and I know for sure that he can do wow a lot. We have many projects in mind, and little by little we're growing in my country.
Okay.
And yeah, no, I don't regret anything.
My gas. You
And
regret
I
my
appreciate
gas.
you sharing that. Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. That's like the softer side of him. Everyone thinks
Yeah,
the NBA players or the Hollywood players, they're not normal people. But when I met him, he was just boss. So I appreciate you sharing that, love, because again, every day is a special day for you guys. And that's amazing in itself. When you're touching lives and you're helping others, it's just something
yeah.
that money can't buy. So I would say
Right.
congratulations to you and all the best. You're more than welcome to be in Wonderland, which is where we're at on our channel. I'm Empress Janet. And I would say thank
Oh,
you for sharing that. He
no,
could have
thank you
been
so much.
anywhere else today, but he was here with us and you were here with us. I would also
Yeah.
ask you, do you love the fruit that he was eating the other day? Because he was telling us about all these exotic fruits. Are you getting these fruits? Did you help him with that?
Well, I do like it, but not like him. Like he really loves it. Like we had to stop the car to get one on the street.
Yeah.
Because I'm used to the food here,
Okay.
and because we don't see that fruit in other countries. Like it didn't exist in China, in Turkey either. So
Right.
when he had it here, like wow, I was like, okay, yeah, this is my fruit. So, but we don't see it like everywhere because it has like
The cancer curing properties. So it's illegal in the United States.
yeah, but here no,
But here it's a natural thing. Here and in the Caribbean it's natural.
yeah, but yeah, it's
Yes.
a very very good fruit.
I know. I saw it and he said it could cure cancer. I was like, no wonder America's not allowed to have it. We're not allowed to have anything
Yeah.
that makes us better. They just try to make us crazier. So, in this insane
Yeah.
world, I guess we all have to be mad. And I would say, if we could ever get to that fruit, boy, we could heal a lot of people here. But, I
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
also ask you guys, is there something that you would want to tell everyone, like moving forward? Like, what is the secret to a long relationship, business wise or love wise? Because you guys have been, working this together for a while now. Like, do you guys want to branch off and like kind of bring other people into it? Could we like come over there and start working for you and create our own, world of like
Yeah.
a community and be one another.
Yeah.
And like you said, people are
Yeah,
learning doctors. Go ahead.
I think support each other, because Keith supports me in everything he does, and I support him as well. You need to have a lot of like admiration for each other for what you do, and
Patience.
patience, communication, love for each
Exactly.
other.
Yes, communication is the best way. Sometimes people have a hard time communicating. With the last 4.5 years, we all went through something. We call it the shebang bang because we are not literally allowed to say the word of what happened to us, but we all went into some crazy fight or flight 4.5 years ago when they told us we were locked down in our houses, that they were going to tell us how
Uh-huh.
to be. And did you guys experience that as well, or was that something different for you guys being in another country? Because in America, we were all like locked down and we just kind of went crazy. Did you guys kind of experience that, or
Oh my
was that
God. Yeah, my story is a very long story because I was actually in Shanghai.
okay? Well,
And as soon
we
as,
would be honored.
yeah,
We would listen.
as soon as it started, I was living with my sister. And Keith was in the US. So we left Shanghai. We were running away from the pandemic, and we came back to Costa Rica. We went through, oh, I had to leave my stuff in the apartment. I was teaching by that time because it was March. So we just ran away from pandemic and figure out how to get out of the country because they were closing the countries, the borders, the flights were getting canceled. It's something new that you don't know what's going to happen, and we are not Chinese. I mean, we're from Costa Rica. And we're like, my family was very stressed out. Our parents were like, my parents were like, no, you girls have to leave like now because you don't know what's going to happen. So we figured it out. So we left Shanghai and we came to Costa Rica. There was no pandemic still in Costa Rica, but it's a long story, yes, because we had to leave the apartment, all our stuff. I have to finish my school year online, which was a mess as well, because I teach preschool,
Yes.
so I had to, yeah, so I had to work with 5-year-olds online, all to finish till June, being in Costa Rica with a different time zone. Actually, my parents were all over the world because everybody left China. Like everybody was scared. So I had parents in Europe, in Asia, in America, and I came here, and during the holiday, they gave me a job in Turkey. So I
Awesome.
actually, yeah, I left to Turkey for the new job. It was a new school opening in Istanbul. And then a year later, Keith joined me. But yeah, but during pandemic, it was very stressful.
Yeah. And I
Very,
thank you for sharing that story because a lot of people don't know what it feels like to leave everything and just run. And sometimes running makes it better. And a lot of Americans, we actually freeze up and we don't know which way to go. If there's not a
yeah,
direction, if there's not a billboard, if there's not a commercial, then they don't know what to do. And in that time,
right,
I learned that I had to humble myself. I had to give up things that I never thought I could. And even in these
no,
moments now, when I reach out to people, I let everyone know that their voice matters. So thank you so much for your voice
yeah.
today because it matters, love. And we appreciate you
Oh,
because
thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks to you.
yes, yes, because a lot of people were hurting and a lot of people didn't know what was going to go, what was going to happen. And I believe that now we can kind of make that way for
There
ourselves.
was a lot of loss that was suffered during the
Yes,
pandemic.
yes,
I had lost 6 family members and friends, you know, due to COVID and the effects of COVID. Um, last year, last summer, a friend of mine died uh, after, due to the effects of COVID, organ breakdown in her body. She finally, she needed a heart transplant because of COVID. Um, and she was experiencing kidney failure, liver failure, and before she could even, get any of the real help that she needed, she just said fuck it, and she passed away. She went to the hospital and she told her family that she didn't want to fight this anymore. She was tired and was ready to go and checked out.
A lot of
We,
people have, boss. A
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
people have. A
Well,
lot of people have given up
people
hope.
were, yeah, and people were killing themselves during the pandemic because
Yes.
they were just lost. They didn't know what to do. They felt so trapped.
Yes.
We were living in Turkey when they had the big earthquake in southeast Turkey, and whole towns and cities were leveled, and people were jumping off of bridges in Istanbul because they had lost everyone and everything, during that time. Uh, and it was such a sad thing to see. We didn't feel it because it was over 1,500 kilometers away. We didn't even have any knowledge of it. And our families, because they watched the news, they knew about it. We don't watch the news. So we didn't know about it until we wake up and we see all this shit. Our phones are being blown up and we got all these messages and missed calls and articles and, news reports sent to us. She's looking at me. We just had an earthquake. We did win, and then once we look at everything, we're like, oh shit, so it was a really, really big thing. She donated clothes and blankets, for the relief efforts, it couldn't fit any of my shit, but, did our, she contributed. She contributed to help and bring some kind of relief to people in need who really, really needed it. A little woman with a big heart and, a big bite because she does not play, which is why I have everybody dealing with her to get to me. And when it comes to business out here,
So let's kind of relax a little because, again, I appreciate you. We did 2 hours and we can kind of wrap it up. If anyone would like to hit the link to ask him a question, you're more than welcome. Please be respectful and use your manners. But I just want to kind of get into some laid back stuff. Like, I won't want to be corny, but like, what's your favorite color?
my favorite colors are blue and orange.
Awesome. Always, huh?
Yep. Even my damn cigarette lighters. I got a blue one right here and an orange one right here. So.
Yes, no, mine is black and yellow. I love it. What do you guys do like on just a typical evening? What's your delight?
We chill a lot. Sometimes we'll get together with other couples, other friends, and go out to a lounge and just chill. They'll have their little mixed drinks. I'll have my coffee, and we conversate about our lives, our experiences, and the direction that things are going today. The current events, things that are going on. Most of our friends have pets, and we're sitting there laughing at the pets, and trying to shush the pets because the dogs are going crazy. Talking about the kids. Some of our friends are parents and talking about raising the kids and what the kids are doing at school. Like the last time we were up visiting some other friends, we didn't even know that the daughter was president of the school. As a high school freshman, she was president of the school. We had no idea. The dad knew because he's president of the parent teacher, the parent board, but we didn't know. The mom didn't know, and there's so many things that are going on, and we're just living life and loving it, and loving each other at the same time, encouraging each other. And when it comes time, being a shoulder to lean on for each other, friend and her husband, they just welcomed a new baby girl, You know what I mean? The other day, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing because life is still continuing. Life is still in session, even with everything that's going on around us. You know, everything that the media is showing us on television, all these horror stories with things going on in Israel and Palestine right now, Gaza, you know, Russia and Ukraine, the things that are going on there, the military coups in Africa that are going on. You know, life is still in session. You know, we still got to be able to enjoy the beautiful things about life. Yeah. And we
Yes.
got to realize that, you know, even if we happen to be going through a bad time, you know, we got to be mindful that there are people in other places in the world who at this very moment are going through something even worse than we are. And so being able to hold space for them, you know, and pray for them and just send, you know, positive energy, positive vibes their way, prayers for them, you know, in their situations, you know. We, we, we talk about so many different things, but one thing that's constant is the gratitude. You know,
Yes.
gratitude for the lessons learned in our experiences. You know, um, hell, life is a blessing. Every day is a blessing, and every day we have an opportunity to go out there and make a difference in somebody's life, or someone's lives. You know, people's lives. We get to go out there and just, you know, whether it's a handshake, a hug, giving somebody some dap, you know, asking how their day is going. Those little things matter. Holding the door open for somebody that's got their hands full, assisting somebody, carrying something for somebody, you know, going to speak at a recovery center. You know, I spoke at another one I forgot about. I spoke at another one and ended up talking to the people in the community, you know, who were there, you know,
Right.
and just building relationships, building positive, long-lasting, healthy relationships, and continuing to expand our network. You know,
You done
you
brought
asked
tears to
about,
my
you
eyes.
asked about, you know, you asked about, you know, other people from outside being able to come in and function with us on some level. Eventually, that's what we're building. That's what we're building towards, step by step. It's the little steps that we're taking that's gonna, you know, that's how we're gonna get to this mountaintop. You
Yes.
know, and
Together.
and we both have these big ass dreams of grandeur. You know, she wants a house on the beach. Look, I want mine in the jungle. I'd rather live in the
Okay.
jungle and then we could walk to the beach through the
Yes.
jungle. You know,
Yes. I want
you
mine
know,
on
and
top of a mountain. I want mine on top of a
yeah,
mountain so they'd have to
you know,
climb to get to me.
and you know, we have friends who are in the hills and over the jungle canopy, overlooking the jungle all around with wild monkeys and shit and sloths and all this jaguars going through their property because their property is part of the jaguars' territory, and then looking out at the Pacific Ocean. You know, we have friends on the Caribbean coast who, you know, there's the same thing for them. You know, they're living the same life, and we're building towards that. We're building towards that. We came back here, we started at zero, and we're building. We're building. We're taking all positive steps and we're meeting all the right people, even the bad people that we've met that didn't have our best interest in heart. They were the right people at the right time. We needed them. We needed them. We absolutely needed them because it showed us even more. Hey, okay, now we know that this is here. We can leave that shit right where it's at and continue to, you know, float this way. And God's directing everything, you know, in our favor. Sometimes we have a few, you know, bumps in the road, some negative experiences, but it's all written. You know, we have to have these experiences. They're not for us, they're for the people that are watching us and the people that are coming up behind us. You know, sometimes we make this shit look easy, you know, because, well, my case, I survived alcoholism. I survived one of the biggest falls ever. You know, one of the biggest falls from grace ever. Losing everything, losing millions and millions of dollars, and losing everything, the homes, the all the material bullshit that I can't take with me at the end of the day. You know, lost everything. I had to start from
'Cause there's
zero.
only so much
You
we
know?
can take, boss. You know, we
Yeah,
do a lot
yeah,
of crazy things out here, and Wonderland's
right,
definitely the place for it. But I appreciate you allowing me to show that we can have a conversation and we can learn together, and that you were definitely, you know, you told me, you know, Janet, whenever you want to have this conversation, we could respectfully, and so I appreciate
right.
that. Not everything's messy. I didn't come out here to be messy. I came out to gather people so that we could have the conversations, so that we could
Yeah,
heal each other, because we all went through
right.
something crazy together. And so I appreciate that time that you've given us. And I definitely
You know what?
appreciate your story.
I wanted to tell you this before the rain kicks off again. Um,
Okay.
what 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 made me stop drinking, the driver force behind my recovery from alcoholism. I was in Houston, Texas, training with a basketball coach and other athletes, and some guys were trying to get back to the NBA. Some guys were trying to get ready to go back overseas. You know, and pancreatitis had started setting in the last few years of my drinking. I didn't know it was pancreatitis. I just thought, okay, maybe I had a little too much, you know. And greasy foods triggered a very bad case of acute pancreatitis during after one of our training sessions. I ended up in a hospital on life support. I came to 2 days later on life support in a hospital, and it scared the shit out of me. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. Was I in the middle of some organ harvesting shit? What happened? How'd I get here? All I know is I'm plugged up to this fucking machine, and I take the tube out of my throat, scratched up my cords, you know, my esophagus. The process, I'm pulling all this shit out of me and off of me, and the shit goes off. They think I died. They rush in with a crash cart. I ask them what happened, how'd I get here? They're looking shocked and amazed because I'm sitting up in the bed. You know, the machine say I'm dead, but here I am breathing alive and communicating with them. The doctor explained to me that I was in such bad shape when I got there, I almost died in the emergency room. So they had to put me on life support, you know, and I was out for 2 days. And once I stayed in that hospital for 5 days. And over that 5 day period, over those next 3 days, I talked to my son, who was 7 years old at the time. Talked to his mother, talked to my family. You know, my mother was making arrangements to come out there. She actually made it a couple hours after my release from the hospital. Went back, you know, I went to this recovery center that was run by another former NBA player. And that's where my road to recovery started. Got into the 12-step process immediately because I realize now this shit is no joke. Alcohol addiction is a killer, just like drug addiction is a killer. You know, alcohol addiction is a killer. And I proved it to myself. I had to see for myself. And God showed me. You know, I fucked around and I found out. And so I got into AA meetings. I even started going to Cocaine Anonymous meetings. Was cocaine a thing for me? No. Had I tried it before? Tried it a couple of times just because I wanted to see what they were talking about. It didn't do anything for me. So thank God. I didn't have a problem with that. But I went to all these different 12-step meetings, and I'm hearing all these messages of recovery. And I'm understanding the literature. And so then now my recovery is growing. My faith is growing even more because I realize that God has given me a second chance. I get to live a second life in this one lifetime. You know, I had that life in the alcoholism. Now I get to have the life without the alcoholism. And I take this side of it over the other side, even though I had a whole bunch more shit going for me on the other side. This last 17 years of it. So for 31 years, all that shit there's a lot of great shit, but there's a lot of tragedy. These 17 years brought even more great shit and some more tragedy. I talked about the stillborn baby. I talked about the miscarriages, you know. Rest in peace, my baby boy Gideon. He would have been 4, April 19th. You know what I mean? But I'm still here, and I use my recovery as a vessel to help other people. I share about it openly on social media. people reach out to me on all social media platforms asking for suggestions of help with them recovering from whatever it is they're going through. You know, when I was in the U.S., before I left the country again, I was being called by people from different tribes, different neighborhoods that we didn't get along with to come help a loved one who was struggling with alcoholism or addiction. You know, and I got a free pass walking through the heart of their territory where I used to run hell, you know, at a younger age. But because I'm walking a different path today, the respect level is different. You know, people had to, they say actions speak louder than words. And I got a mean ass stroll because I'm about the action. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I get out there and I show, you know, I show and I prove. And I try to give words of, you know, words of wisdom, words of encouragement. You know, I can never tell a person what to do. I can only give them suggestions.
Right.
You know, my suggestions are based off of my experiences. You know, and it's up to them because we all have free will. It's up to them to decide what they're going to do.
Thank
you. Know,
you.
I don't force anybody to do anything. Yeah, I don't force anybody to do anything that they don't want to do. You know, if you want to fuck with me, cool. If you don't want to fuck with me, cool. You know, my life is going to continue to be blessed either way.
Right.
You know, can't everybody come along for the ride anyway.
That
you
part.
Know?
Not everybody is made for the movie, honey. I always say they're extras in our movie because everyone has their own movie and they're the actress or actor in it. So I appreciate you saying that. Would you give any advice to anyone who's dealing with alcohol now? Could you give like kind of some advice to anyone else maybe struggling?
Advice, no, but I can give them suggestions.
Okay.
You know, if you don't like eating the shit sandwiches that you've been eating through, you know, your addiction, you know, because that's what it is. You eat shit sandwiches, you know, and how do you eat a shit sandwich? One bite at a time. You know, you don't want to stuff all that shit in your mouth at once, you know, but you can change up your diet and have some real substance put into you. You can ingest some real substance just by making a simple decision. Simple, not easy. A simple but not easy decision to say fuck it and hand everything over to people who are doing it. You know, lean on them for suggestion, for guidance and this shit. 12-step programs don't work for everybody. You know, unfortunately it did with me. For some it's the church. You know, at the end of the day, it all comes back to the same thing. It's that relationship, that personal relationship that we have with the Creator. When I pray, it's not, oh, thank you, Jesus, oh, Heavenly Father, or all that shit we see the, you know, Creflos and them do. Nah, when I pray, I talk like I'm talking to my homeboy. You know, like I'm talking to my best friend. Because my best friend is the one that's going to give me that shit that I need, that good sustenance that I need to make it through the day, that good direction that I'm going to need, you know, to go the right way. Take contrary action. Seek help. Honestly, seek help. You know, but you got to admit to yourself first, to your innermost self, that you actually do have a problem, man. This shit is fucking up your life. You know, if you like what you got, then by all means, continue. You don't have to lose everything like me. You don't have to lose everything like countless others. Some people lost their lives. Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson, Rick James. And those are people that the media pushed out there, but there are people around the corner who are going through the same shit, you know, and they may not wake up because they got a hot shot, a bad shot. You know what I mean? Their organs just finally had enough and shut down on them. You know, you don't have to keep digging. You don't have to keep digging your bottom any deeper than what it is. You don't have to lose what someone else has lost. What you have lost right now can be enough for you to turn everything around and say, fuck it, I'm done. Throw my hands up. I don't want to live like this anymore. Or just hearing what I went through or other people went through, that might be enough for you. Fuck it, I might have to do something different now. You know, I'm happier now in my recovery than I've ever been in my life. And I've suffered substantial loss, great loss. Not one time did I ever think of picking up a drink, and I haven't. So, I'm able to face that shit. The tears will come falling uncontrollably. I'm snotting like a little kid, you know, but I face that shit and I recover from that too. And I'm an example to the people who are watching me and who are hoping that I don't recover from whatever traumatic experience I may be going through at any given moment. But, I'm just built different, and a lot of you, so are you. It just takes a little kick in the ass and a little eye-opening experience to say, all right, fuck it, this is what it is. We got to keep moving forward. The worst thing that can happen is your life will get better. Your life will get better. There's still going to be tragedy. There's still going to be heartbreak. There's still going to be disappointment, but life will get better for you. You don't have to participate in the bullshit. You can participate in some good shit, some real shit, some real life changing shit, and where you can eventually start changing lives yourselves. It's just one life at a time because not everybody's going to be able to come with you.
I agree. Not everyone's going to be able to come with you. You're going to lose a lot of people, and you're going to actually have to apologize to a lot of people. And, I forgive and I can move on. I know that we all suffer with our, own addictions, whether it's shopping, whether it's just envy or jealousy. It could be anything these days. And so it's always good to know that there are humbling people that have experienced a tragic story, but have victory at the end. I believe in redemption. I believe that everyone deserves a second chance. And so I'm proud of you. And thank you for sharing today. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me.
I want to wrap it up with you. And so I would say, thank you for everyone that's come. Thank you for everyone watching it on the replay. You can share it out. You can tell your friends. And again, he's just our friend, Boss Kloss. He's very motivating. He's very fun. He has a lot of history stories to tell us. But as we move forward together in this YouTube world, you are definitely family. So thank you so much for coming. You can kind of end us with your speech of whatever you would like to say, my friend.
Shit, I'm gonna keep it simple. Do what you have to do now so you can do what the fuck you want to do later.
All right. And on that note, guys, thank you so much for being here with me. I appreciate you. Take care and know that, again, if we can do this together, we will do it together in Wonderland. Thank you so much for coming, guys. I'll see you on the other side. Thank you, Boss, for coming. And thank you guys for sharing. Have a wonderful day, guys. And shout out to everybody in YouTube land. Peace and blessings.